I'm Evan Vogel.
And I'm Helen Koth. Here's what's coming up next on Panthervision.
I think it's obscene.
A $300 million shockwave hits higher education, sending students to the streets.
Right to work for less!
Same scene, different issue at Madison. We'll explain.
You get together with some of your buddies, talk a little crap.
You never know what might lead to a big payout. We'll take you to UWM's version of Shark Tank.
And it's big leagues in Arizona as the Panthers face an unusual foe. All that and more on the next UWM Panthervision.
From the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, this is UWM Panthervision. Weekly newscast reported, written, and produced by students in the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication. And now, the news.
Good evening. It's the biggest issue to hit the UW system in decades.
A proposed $300 million budget cut is sending shockwaves from Milwaukee to Madison and beyond. The proposal by Governor Scott Walker is being met with protests, lobbying, and speculation. UWM's share of the cuts would be about $40 million over 2 years, and that would mean cuts in programs and up to 300 jobs.
We have several stories tonight about the impending budget crisis.
We begin with the weekly campus budget meetings organized by Chancellor Mark Monet.
Panthervision's Tyler Krieger has that part of our coverage.
Johannes Britz has been UWM's provost for over 4 years, but this is a new challenge, and he's anxious to say the least.
A lot of time to think about the budget because I don't sleep enough. You know, it's just in the middle of the night you wake up and you think, how are we going to address this? Where do we get collective wisdom to make the right decisions?
Britz's committee on the Budget Task Force has been working hard lately to plan exactly how UWM will spend its money in the next few years.
Me personally, it really is very close to me because I care a lot for our students and I care a lot for our institution and I care a lot for education in this state.
Professor Schwartz is the chair of the university committee. He says that a frustrating part of being a faculty member at the school is that you don't have much of a voice. These cuts aren't the first time UWM has seen its funding restricted.
UWM has a history over the last decade and frankly the whole UW system of being cut, so this is not like this is something new.
UWM is one of the only major universities in Wisconsin that is considered a research facility, but it may not remain that way if the budget cuts go through as proposed.
But if we lose our good researchers, that will harm that ability as well for reputation. Because you build up reputation over a long time, but you can lose it overnight.
It's not only the administrators that are scared about the future. Some students are afraid of losing valuable resources. In the face of large budget cuts, will UWM be able to retain its student body?
I don't know. I don't see myself here. I hope that answered your question.
In Milwaukee, I'm Tyler Krieger for Panthervision.
Spates Plaza has been a hotspot for students and faculty voicing their concerns over the budget.
The progressive students of Milwaukee gathered for a rally in March to make noise over the issue. Professors like Annie McClanahan stood up for fellow faculty and staff.
What these budget cuts mean are the disappearance of all those thousands of people who make this university run.
The organization called the cuts an assault on the public education system and said that education is a right and they will not go down without a fight.
The American Federation of Teachers is also organizing protests. Some teaching assistants, faculty, and staff took their concerns to Spates Plaza to show solidarity against the cuts. But graduate student Michael Gonzalez says rallies might not be enough.
Student strikes, I think these are the sorts of things where we can exert our power and really demonstrate that we're going to stop business as usual. I don't know if that's going to happen. We'll see. We'll see if people are willing to do that or not.
Governor Walker suggested having professors teach more classes to make up the deficit. That was met with outrage.
Without any question. I mean, Walker's solution when posed how we were supposed to absorb these budget cuts was that instructors need to simply teach more classes. This means less time focusing on research which is economically productive, and less time given to individual students in individual classes. Ultimately, everybody loses.
The response to the proposed cuts from UW officials has been immediate and wide-ranging.
System President Ray Cross is asking lawmakers to reduce the cuts. Cross testified before some legislative communities and said that some freedom from the state would be good for the system. But he says that such flexibility would only save between $15 and $20 million. He's asking lawmakers to approve the creation of a UW system authority to oversee these freedoms. Raising tuition for an in-state student is not an option because there's a 2-year freeze already in place. Cross says the system could make up some of the money by raising tuition for out-of-state students.
UWM has reissued both a travel ban and hiring freeze in reaction to the budget situation. Chancellor Mark Monet sent a memorandum saying that any travel paid for by state money is now on hold. Faculty members can still travel, but trips must be paid for personally or with research-related funds. Previously approved trips may need reapproval. Also, new hires are on hold until further notice.
Despite the travel ban, Chancellor Mark Monet went to Arizona for the UW basketball game against the Milwaukee Brewers. Vice Chancellor of University Relations, Tom Lujak, says 100% of Monet's trip was funded from donors to the UWM Foundation. Lujak says the purpose of Monet's trip was to meet with alumni and donors, hoping to drum up monetary support and advocacy in the face of further budget cuts. The budget isn't the only thing causing a stir in the state.
Right-to-work legislation is drawing an ire of union members across Wisconsin.
Panthervision's Rachel Meidel has more from Madison.
In Madison, hundreds of union employees and families gathered at the Capitol to protest the right-to-work bill. Many UWM alumni took part in the crowd. The protest started with people gathering outside of the Capitol building to hear speeches given by union leaders.
Together this so-called, and I mean so-called, right-to-work bill. It only means one thing, right to work for less.
Later, they moved into the building and a few protesters were allowed into the assembly chamber.
It may seem relatively calm now, but after union protesters were kicked out of the assembly chamber, many other protesters tried to storm the room.
Tensions were high as protesters pushed police back into the doors of the assembly room. Pauline Gilbertson, a UWM graduate and former union employee, is concerned because of how quickly the bill is going through legislation.
This whole process has been a sham. They're not listening to the citizens of Wisconsin.
The right-to-work bill was passed by lawmakers last Friday. Scott Walker is expected to pass the bill today. In Madison.
The issue is being played out in Milwaukee as well, though not nearly as big. There were some protests about the right-to-work legislation at UWM.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, right to work has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, right to work has got to go.
The progressive students of Milwaukee rallied in Spates Plaza Wednesday. Only about a dozen people showed up. They expressed their frustrations with the bill and encouraged others to speak out.
UWM's teachers union will not be affected by the right-to-work bill because it is public. However, that is not the case at every college. MATC's Tanner Burke has more.
Hundreds of protesters rallied on the Capitol steps on Wednesday, February 25th, as a result of the Senate passing the right-to-work bill here in Wisconsin, which means that private sector workers would not be required to join a union or pay dues as a condition of their employment. The bill has longtime union officials in an uproar.
The scene at the Capitol yesterday was chaotic. Outside, there was a large demonstration of several thousand people. Inside, people were in the gallery. I myself was thrown out of the gallery for essentially saying what they were doing was un-American. And I truly believe that the passage of right to work is un-American.
Those in favor of the bill say it will give workers more freedom and increase employment, while those against the bill say weaker unions could mean weaker wages.
Unions, they had their purpose and time. We now have so many federal laws to protect people in employment, you don't need a union. And if your union is so strong and so wonderful and it's so important to keep, then why would people leave it?
If you think about the founding of our country, it was based on a Declaration of Independence. Those inalienable rights have been trampled in the state of Wisconsin as the Republican-controlled legislature are taking away the right of people to organize and the right of people to engage in collective bargaining freely.
In the past decade, employment in right-to-work states has increased while it has declined in forced union states. However, economists are quick to point out that every state is different, so it might not have the same effect here in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin is the 25th state with right-to-work legislation. Some say it's the end of open internet. Others would disagree.
The FCC has passed a net neutrality bill.
Michael Atterbury is here in the studio to break it down for you.
Hey guys, the FCC voted 3-2 in favor of net neutrality regulations. That means the regulations will treat broadband internet as a public utility. UWM lecturer Chris Terry says the regulations will prevent internet service providers, called ISPs, from slowing down or speeding up access to online content.
In a net neutral environment, under the open internet proceeding, what would not be allowed to happen is ISPs cannot discriminate against content, either in terms of the data, speed, access to it, or promoting content that they own over competitors' content.
The FCC approved the regulation but hasn't released full details of the plan. That has Terry concerned.
And there is some significant procedural questions about how the plan was developed, whether it's still being developed even though it's been voted on, and when we will actually see the plan. And although I'm somewhat in favor of net neutrality as a principle, I'm skeptical of a plan we haven't seen the details of at this point.
Terry speculates that regulation could be overturned on appeal. Back to you, Helen and Evan.
Thanks, Michael. Coming up, the UWM community is making an effort to stand up against sexual violence.
Plus, a dream come true. Shark Tank comes to UWM. Sort of, anyway.
That and more when we come back.
A strong, productive workforce. Building one requires proper education and training, not just for today, but for tomorrow. That's why for the last 100 years, thousands of successful workers wearing hats like these began their careers with this one hat.
This is where powerful ideas lead to proven results. This is where you belong.
Survivors of sexual violence and their allies are shedding light on the realities of the crime.
And as I found out, the power of expression makes the pain easier to bear. The Vagina Monologues is a play that the UWM Women's Resource Center has been putting on for 20 years now.
I'm very passionate against violence against women. I'm a survivor myself.
There are funny scenes, sexy scenes, and devastating scenes. They all tell a different woman's story, and because of this, so many people could connect to the play, especially those in it. Mia Rudolph Schulte is the other director, and this is her third year as part of the production, but her first as a director.
I think raising awareness, absolutely talking about it. A lot of subjects like that are so taboo, especially when it comes to women.
I bet you're worried. We were worried. We were worried about vaginas.
The play, when it was conceived and first performed, caused a lot of controversy, but the women performing in the UWM chapter say that not discussing these subjects openly can be and is detrimental to our society.
It starts with lack of education in all levels.
The UWM Women's Resource Center not only organizes this performance, but is also an amazing resource on campus. Claire Paul, another actress, turned to the Women's Resource Center when she needed them.
It was an abundant amount of resources that allowed me to recover.
The Vagina Monologues was an overall hit, selling out the house. And they seemed to hear the message loud and clear.
Say they should look a certain way. We say that they shouldn't drink. We give them all of these preventative things to do, where the message is simply just don't rape.
In Milwaukee, I'm Helen Koth for Panthervision. A crowd of about 750 filled the theater beyond capacity. The play was based on interviews with more than 200 women. So far, the event has raised more than $5,000.
UW campuses may no longer be required to report sexual assaults to the state. UW system officials are asking to have reporting requirement removed because law already requires campuses to report assaults to the federal government.
UW-Madison and UW-Whitewater are among the 101 universities suspected of mishandling the reporting of sexual violence and harassment. The U.S. Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights opened the investigation after several complaints. Federal officials have yet to disclose any information about the cases involved in either school.
A well-known UWM professor has died. Dwight Teeter passed away following a long illness. Teeter wrote media law and history books that are still used today. He had taught at UWM before becoming the Dean of the College of Communications at the University of Tennessee. He retired in 2014 after 50 years of teaching. He was 80 years old.
Going green and planning for the future. Milwaukee students are learning new ways to promote economic growth through a more sustainable approach. MATC's Sarah Stangl has more from this year's Sustainability Summit.
This year's Sustainability Summit's theme is sovereignty and survival, but the focus is broad in bringing together the community, students, and leaders in innovation from all over the world to discuss how to better sustain ourselves within the constraints of our society through education and innovation.
The purpose has evolved. We've broadened out from just energy, renewable energy, to include all the major aspects of sustainability: water, food, health, transportation, and especially energy and climate.
The attendees at the summit learn ways of changing from the current system that pollutes our environment to a new way that will restore health to both the economy and to the environment.
This is a global problem. We need to have public policy changes at every level.
Well, the Sustainability Summit is a great way to further your education. And if you'd like to get more involved, you can always visit the website at www.sustainabilitysummit.us. It can also be found on Facebook and on Twitter. And remember, students are always free. This has been an MATC report. I'm Sarah Stangl.
Oakland University.
Luis De Leon joins us with a look at our weather.
Yeah, how are you guys doing?
Doing
Pretty
well.
good.
Doing
Yeah,
very
we
well.
just came off a wonderful weekend of weather, so hopefully we're going to see that warm trend coming and continuing throughout this week. So
That's what I'm hoping for. Yes.
as we go to our weather headlines, we are going to see the warm trend continuing from this past weekend as we move through the week, and with winds light and variable. So a pretty calm Monday to begin your week. Currently here in Milwaukee for our current conditions, a few clouds here and there, but nothing too serious. Sunny skies with a high of 48, maybe touching 50. So that warm day that we've all been expecting is going to start out our week. Today's forecast, as I said, mostly sunny skies with a high of 48. For the lows across the state, we are going to see along the Minnesota border, lows Eau Claire 24, La Crosse 25, Madison, the state capital 23, moving north from Milwaukee 24, and in the Green Bay area 21, and to the far north in Rhinelander pulling off a low of 19. For the state highs, we are going to see very warm temperatures across the state, from Milwaukee 48 pushing north, Green Bay 46, Eau Claire 47, La Crosse with the warmest temperature at 51, and Madison, the state capital, 47, with Rhinelander pulling off a high of 43. Tonight, a few clouds here and there, but mainly for the most part, partly cloudy skies with a clear night and a low of 32. Winds coming out of the south-southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. For tomorrow, much of the same and even warmer than today with partly cloudy skies and a high of 53. Southwest winds coming in at 10 to 15 miles per hour. For Wednesday, another nice day with a high of 48 degrees and sunny skies with winds coming out of the east-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. So winds very light and variable. For your extended forecast, once again, much of the same for the rest of the week with your highs in the mid to upper 40s. Thursday, partly cloudy with a high of 49, and Friday, mostly cloudy with a high of 48. As we move into your weekend, the trend continues with temperatures staying in the 40s, and Sunday coming in at 48, and the lows staying at the 30s, which should be fine because mainly we have seen the lows coming in at 30, so we are pretty used to that by now. But definitely we are seeing a warmer temperature coming in through this week, so spring is upon us.
That's awesome.
We can finally start cooking out, going outside.
Yeah, you can put those winter coats away.
Might see some flowers outside and everything.
Going
That's
to the
amazing.
beach pretty soon, right? Beach season, I'm hoping.
Hopefully.
So.
Thanks. UWM Panthervision has been named the state's best collegiate newscast for the 5th consecutive year. The Wisconsin Broadcasters Association held its 2015 Student Awards for Excellence on Saturday. Panthervision brought home a total of 4 awards, including Best Newscast. In fact, Panthervision took both first and second place in the Best Newscast category. Panthervision's reporters were also honored in Best Newscast Story category for our report on a UWM, an MATC lockdown, as well as Best Sports Story. The UWM Panthers face off against a big league opponent.
Plus, swimming with the Sharks, the competition between students and alumni.
All that and more when we return.
Minds can achieve anything. We make sure they get to college. Federal student aid provides more than $150 billion in grants, loans, and work-study funds to make college possible for anyone with the mind to get there. Because if given the chance, minds will do great things. Federal Student Aid, proud sponsor of the American Mind. Learn more about money for college at studentaid.gov.
When international disaster strikes, only one type of donation can purchase clean water, get medical supplies, rebuild homes and businesses, and provide culturally appropriate foods. This one donation gives exactly what is needed for each unique disaster situation. Save lives, save time, donate cash.
It's a game that the UWM Panthers will never forget.
And it was a week filled with championship games.
Alex Chun joins us now with the sports. Alex?
Thanks, guys. The UWM Panthers helped the Milwaukee Brewers open up spring training in Arizona. It's the first time in 30 years the Brewers have faced a college team. Panthervision alum Joe Horning takes us to Phoenix.
Every year, the Milwaukee Brewers start their spring training in Maryville, Arizona. However, this year they're doing something a little bit different. They are playing the UWM Panthers baseball team for an exhibition game. Playing college teams is nothing new for professional baseball. Teams such as Miami, Tampa Bay, and Arizona frequently play college teams for exhibition games. The game started off strong defensively for both sides. Brewers starter Mike Fiers struck out 4 batters in the first 2 innings. The Panthers then struck first on offense in the 4th inning. Senior Derek Peake lines a single into center field for the first hit of the day. Unfortunately, that would be the Panthers' only hit of the game. After that, the Brewers came alive on offense. After plating 2 in the 4th, Juan Santano nails a single into right field to score 2 more for the Brewers. The Panthers' defense held out to start the game, including Joe Pavlovich's 3 consecutive strikeouts in the second inning. But Panthers head coach Scott Dofig attributes the bad offense to Major League pitching.
We've seen some good arms, and good arms at our level are different than good arms at this level. And you could see our guys were having a hard time with 95 to 98. If we get an opportunity to face that every day, you get an opportunity to adjust. But when you show up on one day and have to do it, you could see the ball was moving pretty quick for us.
Both teams enjoyed the opportunity and welcome another chance to face each other in the future. From Maryvale, Arizona, I'm Joe Horning for Panthervision.
The Panthers' men's and women's swim and dive teams closed the season on a high note. Both teams placed second at the Horizon League Championships in Brown Deer. Senior KJ Hager took first place in the 1-meter diving event. Senior swimmer Emily McClellan won the 200 breaststroke by 7 seconds. She won 6 of her 7 events and was named Athlete of the Year. McClellan closed her career as one of the most decorated swimmers in the league. Oakland University won both meets. The men's track team took the top spot at the Horizon League Championships last weekend. The win on Sunday marks the 16th Horizon win in the team's history. Junior Marquise Johnson helped claim the league title in the final event. Johnson was named the league's most outstanding track performer for the season. The women's track team broke records at the Horizon League, but they came up just short overall, losing the top spot to Youngstown by 1 point. The Panthers broke a UWM record in the 4x400 meter relay by almost 2 seconds. That record stood since 1985. Senior Sharice Hewitt also broke UWM and Horizon League records in triple jump. Hewitt was named the league's most outstanding field performer. That's it for sports. Back to you, Helen and Evan.
Shark Tank comes to UWM. Well, sort of.
The new venture business competition is designed to foster a spirit of entrepreneurship among UWM students and alumni.
Panthervision's Alexander Shun has the story.
Finalists of the new venture business plan competition pitched their plans to a panel of judges in Lubar Hall last Saturday afternoon. The judges heard many different ideas from a wide array of companies. The judges deliberated, then deliberated some more. But in the end,
first prize winning team is for $8,000, My Combine.
My Combine is an athletic performance company that allows individuals to run drills exactly like those at the NFL Combine, no matter the age or athletic level.
It's kind of just that group event. You get together with some of your buddies, talk a little crap, watch somebody not be as athletic as they think they are.
Founded by UWM alumni Justin Bowler, Jeremy Teed, and Brandon Shocker, Teed says the idea for the company came from the inability to track their athletic stats.
We did them all when we were in high school, but we did them with outdated technologies, stopwatches, things like that.
As for the future, the guys at My Combine have one special dream in mind.
We think to have an event like that here would, really, I guess, almost be some icing on the cake in the sense that, we're alumni, thinking about what it would be like if we were freshmen or sophomores and this opportunity came around, we think that we would have definitely participated in it.
When asked how they would fare at an event like their own,
we'll see what our overall scores come back with. Hopefully just no pulled muscles or injuries as we start to get a little bit older.
In Milwaukee, I'm Alexander Shun for Panthervision.
More than $14,000 in prize money was awarded to UWM students and alumni. Thank you for tuning in for tonight's edition of Panthervision.
You can watch us on Time Warner Channel 14 and AT&T UVerse Channel 99 at 5:30 on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and again at 10:30 on Saturday and Sunday mornings.
Have a great week.